Hello, my name is Kevin Snyder of Snyder Law, and I'm an estate planning and elder law attorney in Irvine, California. And today I'd like to talk to you about what needs to be done if you lose your spouse or your life partner. Unfortunately, today's conversation is motivated by the recent experience of several of our clients in the past year when they've lost their spouse. And I thought it would be helpful if we can kind of run down some of the important things that you might need to know right away in the event that you've lost your spouse. So you can be prepared. And for those that have lost a spouse or life partner recently, my heart goes out to you. As a person and as an attorney, I see firsthand the grief of losing a life partner and a spouse. While I haven't personally experienced it, working with clients and walking the path with them in those moments, in the months and years after they've lost their loved one, what that looks like. And it's difficult, and you're going to have that period of grief that you're going to need to go through. It's just human to do that. But outside of that, we also need to be mindful of some of the things that need to get done. There's going to be some tasks that you're going to have to do, but please allow yourself the opportunity and the room to have that grief. But then you're going to need to tackle some of the important things to do. So you have to be mindful not to take too long in your grieving process and neglect the important tasks that need to be done, because that will just end up creating more of a problem for you down the road. And we've seen that with some clients that we have met years later after their husband or wife has passed away, and they haven't done much of anything by way of these tasks that we're going to talk about, and that has created some real problems. And it's taken a lot of effort to kind of undo some of that oversight. So when you're ready and in a timely fashion, some of the things that you're going to need to do after you have your recovery period is there's going to be a number of important financial and legal decisions you're going to have to make. I encourage you to get together a team of advisors to help you, whether that's a financial advisor, an accountant, an attorney, in order to help you move through these important decisions, so you have a full understanding of what's going on. You might already have these advisors on your team already, but some people don't, and it would encourage you to get that together. So some immediate things that you're going to need to do right at the time of death that I would highly recommend is, number one, you've got to shut off any sort of benefits that your spouse or loved one was receiving. Maybe they were receiving Social Security or other government benefits. You're going to want to make sure that stops so that checks aren't continuing to be issued. Normally, if you go through services in a mortuary, they're contacting Social Security to notify them that the person has passed away. Collect and review mail so you can get a handle on what bills might be out there. This is particularly important for individuals that survive that weren't handling the day-to-day billing of the relationship. They weren't handling the finances, and they might be unaware of what accounts were out there, what credit card bills were out there, what the debts are that are there. That help get a handle on the finances, just immediately collecting and reviewing the mail, opening it, and seeing what bills are there, so you're not missing a payment and having things go into default or on joint accounts affecting your own credit. So get a handle on the finances that way. Notify credit card companies and student loan lenders that the person has passed away. This will be important when it comes to managing the debt. Don't necessarily just pay off the balance of the debt in full. If you have the ability to, consult with an accountant and a financial advisor about the appropriate next steps there. And you're also going to want to make sure that you're ordering copies of the death certificate. We recommend 10 to 20 copies. You're going to need these moving forward in time, so you might as well just make that one request so you can have enough copies on hand. And it's also important to know some time-sensitive things as far as the law is concerned. If the person had a will, that needs to be filed within 30 days with the county in which the person had been living at the time of their death. There's also some time-sensitive tax implications when it comes to somebody's estate. So you're going to want to talk to an accountant fairly quickly about that. And you don't want to learn after the fact that you missed out on being able to make some decisions, or there's a negative consequence because you just weren't aware of the time deadline. And lastly, when it comes to assets that are appreciating, such as a home, it's a good idea to get an appraisal of the home, or just an estimate from a realtor or somebody else that is familiar with that type of appreciating asset of what the value is at the time that the person passed away. So then you're going to need that moving forward later for tax purposes. So those are some just general things that you can do right away. And then, like I said, consult with those advisors, the financial advisor, the accountant, and an estate attorney to assist you with some of the other things that you might have to need help with. And one of those in my realm is helping families and spouses that survive go through what we call an estate administration. That's making sure that we can move forward in time, and the individuals, things that they own, accounts that they possess at the time that they're passing, can be transferred to those that they wished. And this will, how this happens, it's dependent upon what type of planning that person who passed away, your loved one passed away, what they had in place. It's going to look differently if they had no planning, if they had a will, or if they had done some trust planning, particularly here in California. And the next steps you take are going to be dependent on that. For example, if the person passed away with no estate plan or a will, they're still going to go through probate. And there's going to be different steps in the probate process that you're going to need to follow. In addition, to that, that person who passed away may not have left any planning, but their estate may have been below a certain level that you're not going to have to go through probate. So it's kind of a combination of figuring out what it is that person owned, the value that they had, and also understanding what the legal process is. And that's going to be very much tied to what they owned and what sort of planning they put in place. So talking to an estate attorney will allow you that information of what kind of steps you need to take. If the person had a trust, then you're going to need to understand what the terms of the trust say, who the trust appoints to be the trustee in order to manage the trust and ensure the trust is followed and that the assets are handled the way in which your loved one wanted. You might be that trustee, and particularly if it's a spouse or life partner, it is most likely going to be you. So understanding what your role is in that capacity as a trustee is going to be very vital, because not only is the trust going to have specific instructions for you, but the California law also has some specific duties that you're going to need to follow and things that you're going to need to do that you most likely aren't aware of, and you don't want to miss some things only in the end to have that negatively affect you. Negatively affect your ability to be the trustee, or somehow cause a rift in the family, or lead to some sort of litigation down the road, and you want to get in front of that. So consulting with an estate attorney to get a better sense of what the trust says, what it means, what your roles and responsibilities are going to be very important as well. And just so you know, if a trust had been created by your loved one, maybe you had a joint trust together, if a trust exists, it doesn't necessarily mean that things are handled privately. There are rules that need to be followed, notices that need to be sent out in a certain timely fashion, so that people are going to be aware that there is this trust. So as much as we say that a trust keep things out of court in the public eye, it doesn't mean it's going to be entirely secret. We've seen some situations in which trustees just were not aware of this, and they kept things from beneficiaries only to find out later that they weren't following the rules, or they found out negatively later because there was some family infighting and they were sued, just simply because they didn't realize that they had to share some information about the trust. If you're meeting with an estate attorney, they can walk through with you all the specific California rules, and so you know what your obligations are and that you can fulfill your role in a timely fashion. So just to kind of get in front of this, for those of you who have not lost that spouse or loved one, as you can see, there's a lot of things that need to be taken care of after a death. You can take that burden away from your loved one by being proactive and doing the planning up front. For example, your loved one or your spouse, in addition to following some of the advice and steps that I gave you and some of the things to do, are going to have to get together a lot of vital information, such as birth certificates, social security numbers, titles on vehicles, account information, company benefits, life insurance policies, mortgage statements, online information about what kind of online accounts you have and how to access those online accounts. All this is going to be a tremendous amount of work and heavy lifting if all that is not in order and organized. So beforehand, in addition to getting the legal components and elements together, just getting your life, your financial life organized and your assets organized into a central location with information about where things are, what you have, and how to access them will be extremely helpful for your spouse or life partner or other family members and loved ones that are going to have to go through an estate administration. And those of you that are doing that right now understand the impact of that. So again, my name is Kevin Snyder of Snyder Law. I'm an estate and elder law attorney, and I help families plan to protect what matters most to them, their loved ones, their legacy, and their dignity, as well as assisting family going through the trying times of administering an estate after a loved one passes away. I hope that this was valuable to you and provided you a lot of great information. If you have questions, you can certainly reach out to me directly at 949-333-3702. You can schedule a time to have a conversation with me at www.asksnyderlaw.com, and we'd be happy to go offline and try to answer your questions and provide you some good value. All right? Hope you have a nice day and a great week, everyone. Take care.